You aren't gonna believe this one. I filmed this entire video already one time, typical, but I had to refilm it because I filmed the entire first take of this in slow-mo, which I didn't even know my camera did. So yeah, I filmed the entire thing in slow-mo and I was like, okay, well that's not ideal, but I'll put it into iMovie and then speed it up, right? Wrong, because apparently slow-mo on this camera also means no audio, which is like, why? Who is using that? I'm genuinely inquiring because that makes no sense to me. I'm sorry. So yes, second time filming. I feel like that's a new one though. Usually it's just my computer deletes everything, but nope, today it was slow-mo. Got me. The button is like right next to the record button. Who thought that was a good idea? Like the button to switch into slow-mo? Who thought that was a good idea? Oh my god. Who approved that? Entirely not the point of today's video. Hi, I'm Maddie. This is By a Thread Knits. Because as you can tell, I am in fact hanging on by a thread. So today for the second time, I have for you my Puget Sound local yarn store tour recap with a little bit of a vlog and a little bit of a haul in there. So we've got it all today, folks. Buckle up, buttercup. Yeah, I tried to get footage at the stores as much as possible, but I am still really awkward when I try to vlog, and I just generally feel really bad about having a camera out in public when people are just trying to go about their lives, and like I don't want to be that guy. So I try to film in the least intrusive way possible, which isn't always possible at some yarn stores. They're just too small, it was too crowded, etc. I got what I could, and I think I'm gonna run that now, and then we'll swing back here and do our little recap, thoughts and feelings about the tour, and then at the very end I will show you what I picked up. So I will see you in a minute. Hi from the car. We are on the way to the first stop that we are going to for the Puget Sound local yarn store tour. I feel like the furthest we were willing to go was Edmonds. Everything else was going to be well over an hour away, and I don't think we have that in us. Currently on I-5. Very fun. Working on my Olga jacket. Got the sleeve going. I'm not a big car knitter. Kind of makes me seasick a little bit. We'll see how much I can get done, but we'll update you when we get to stop number 1. Historians will say they were best friends. Historians would say they were best friends. Okay, so we are in Bothell now, and we just left Streaky? We just left the yarn store. I got to meet one of you guys, so that was very cool. Thank you for saying hi. That was the first one that's gotten away from me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. First purchase I've made today, so I feel good about that, but it did get away from me a tiny bit. I'm gonna make you guys wait for the haul. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be that guy. We'll see you at the next stop. Streaka? That sounds right. We're gonna go with Streaka. Historians would say they were best friends. Historians will say they were best friends. Historians will say they were best friends. historians will say they were best friends. Camera battery is actively dying. We made it to 6 stores today, which is not too bad. Got some stamps. I didn't buy very much yarn. I want that on the record. We just left the Tea Cozy, which is one of my faves. Their patterns for the LYS tour are so cute. Oh my god. I'm gonna make so many of those little fish. Can't wait for that. Fish Girl Summer forever. I will see you guys tomorrow with my friend June. See you then. Okay, it is the next day for me. For you, it's been like 1 second. But I am in the car with my friend June, who is driving, and we are off. What's our first stop today?
Hazelnuts.
We're off to Hazelnuts. I've never been there.
Me neither.
Oh my god, no way. You live 5 minutes from here.
I know. I don't leave the house.
You're real for that. So we're off to Hazelnuts, and then we're gonna go to West Seattle. And then from West Seattle
To Burien.
Sure. I don't know where that is.
And then Renton.
And then Renton.
And then possibly Issaquah?
Issaquah.
Yeah, there's one in Issaquah.
Oh my god, okay. And then
We're
over
doing a loop-de-loop.
to Bainbridge.
Sure.
We're just gonna see where the day takes us, I think is the plan. And June has a list, which is very brave and well behaved of her. I did lead her astray last time we went yarn shopping, so I am in trouble for that, I think. But in my defense, it was at a sale and I have 1 brain cell, so I don't think I can be held responsible for that. But anywho, so we are on our way, en route, and I will update you when we get to the shop. What do we have here, June?
What is it called? I don't know. So it's the Gray Wing Cowl designed by Destiny. We're at Seattle Yarn, and this is using their Euphoria fibers.
And who made this sample, this lovely sample?
I did.
Oh
Thanks
my
for
God, no
asking.
way.
Yeah.
It is really cute. Look at the picot edge we were just talking about.
The lace.
The lace is nice. I like the garter stripes. I just touched that mannequin's boob. Kind of bad about that. Anyway,
yes.
excellent work.
Thank you. I'm calculating in my head right now.
This is the best purchase thus far. I don't know how to show you this with one hand, but oh my god. June, I don't have my seatbelt on. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's a snail tape measure. Oh my god. Okay, we are now in Issaquah and we are getting tired and we still have like 6 hours left of this journey, potentially. That's really great for us. June, how we doing?
Not well. That's a different store.
That is a different store, in fact. That is not...
We're mooching.
We found it.
It's like a scrap yarn project. So we found this, and we are overly obsessed with this. We decided we need to make a raglan loose sweater. So Maddie is over there testing him out against her skin tone, and I'm on the floor deciding which ones we want. How cute this is. Can you see this? Oh my god.
Yes, but Jackie and I are verdict from 4 people has been, I need this one. So I fear we have to. Because did you show them the swatch?
To the best of my ability.
Right, yeah. Look at how cute this is.
It's
Okay,
so
so June had the brilliant idea to make a sweater out of this because you're a gentleman and a scholar. I'm floored, truly, because this is brilliant. Look at how cute this is going to be, guys. Like, imagine this as a sleeve.
Oh my god, look at
Shut up.
Yeah.
Like a slight bell sleeve.
God. I'm so excited.
The opportunities are endless, really. I am very excited about this. And also, these are $14 a skein, so we would be losing money, I fear.
I haven't even seen this one, so I
Isn't this beautiful? Join us. Yes. Yeah, sorry, we're vlogging. Okay, imagine this as a sweater.
Oh my god.
We've been like holding it up to our arms, like look at how cute this is gonna be.
That would be really cool.
Right?
Yes. Oh, that's so neat.
You're a genius. Look at how cute this is.
All right, yardage.
What do we got?
It says 154 yards. Bulky.
And we're knitting it at a pretty loose gauge. We think like a US 11.
11, yeah.
So it's kind of like a
I
layer.
feel like I want to go looser than that.
Yeah.
10 or 11.
10 or 11, we'll swatch. Our plan right now is to make up our own pattern. We'll see how that goes.
I'm obsessed.
This is so cute. Oh my god, hi. You're still here. How was that? Was that fun? I know a few cities do these local yarn store tours. I have been to one in Portland a couple months ago. I did a few shops last year for the Puget Sound local yarn store tour, but this was the first one where I like actually went for it and like was trying to go to as many as possible. So basically local yarn stores in your area. Usually it's based on city, but for some reason this one's based on the Puget Sound. We'll swing back to that because I have thoughts. Shops in the area are able to join this event, and for the event you are required to release 2 exclusive patterns, 1 knitting, 1 crochet, as well as have a like selected yarn on a 10% discount. And then there's also daily drawings for each shop, and then a bigger kind of raffle situation where based on the number of stores you get to, you're entered into a different tier of raffle for a certain amount of money. So there's like prizes, patterns, discounts, a lot of people at yarn stores. It's kind of just a way to introduce people to new yarn stores, get people out in the community and mingling and all that good jazz. It's a cool concept for sure. I do really like the concept, and again we will swing back to that, but let's get into the stores I was able to get to. The first day I made my long-suffering boyfriend drive me around. I bought him lunch, don't worry, he's fine. I bought him lunch. I rolled the window down in the car, he's fine. So he drove me around for the first day, and we got, I think, 6 stores done. So day 1, as you saw first, we got breakfast at Sky Bowl Cafe in Seattle. It's a really cute little acai bowl place, and they do really good smoothies and stuff too. And then we headed off to Edmonds, which was just about as far as we were willing to drive. We went to All Wound Up in Edmonds, which is, it's like in a strip mall, one of those type of yarn stores. They have a lot of Barocco, and they actually had a lot of Cardiff cashmere as well, so that's a good one. And then we went over to Stranded by the Sea, which is also in Edmonds, but over by the ferry terminal. Stranded by the Sea is really cute. They have some bunnies, some Angora bunnies in there usually. Anytime I see the bunnies, I lose my mind. If you haven't held an Angora bunny, you have not lived. I'm sorry to break that to you. Seek out that experience. It's like holding a cloud. It's the best. But anyway, Stranded by the Sea is great. And then we went up to Bothell to go to Strika. I still haven't figured out how to pronounce that one. Please do let me know. Strika was great. I really, really enjoyed that one. So that was my first time going up to Strika. It was really fun because I got to meet Laura, who is a subscriber. So she's actually commented on a video before when I was looking for something, and she was like, oh, we have it at Strika. And I was like, Bestie, what is that? Because I simply hadn't heard of that yarn store before. But it was on the tour this year, and so I was really excited to go because I was hoping I would get to meet Laura, and I did, and it was so much fun. So if you're watching, Laura, thank you for saying hi and putting up with my antics. Strika is a little bit of a smaller store. They had some really good selection of yarns I hadn't seen before, and then they also had almost the full range of knitting for Olive as well. So they have some good classics and then some new to me stuff as well, which is always fun. So I did really like Strika. I will be going back. They also had really pretty samples, which I showed in the clips. All right, after that we went over to Needles and Hooks. It's like in a mall, like a really sort of dilapidated mall, which was a bit off-putting, but in that same mall there was also like some sort of chocolatier store, and they were giving out free samples of their sipping chocolate, and it changed my life a little bit. I thought it was just gonna be like hot chocolate. No, it was like rich and dense. So that was a very fun surprise for me. And yeah, Needles and Hooks, it was another kind of smaller one, but they had a lot of really cute little amigurumi stuff and like little knitted creatures, which I appreciate in a yarn store. I think you need to have just a fair amount of little guys hanging out on the shelves. So shout out to Hooks and Needles for that. Then we went up to Acorn Street in the U District, which was my former local yarn store. So it's always nice to go back there. So Acorn Street is a classic. It's pretty big. They have a lot of stuff there. Yeah, it was super crowded, so I didn't get very much footage, but that's just, it's always a good time to go to Acorn. You always find something new, and all of the employees there are really nice. And if you get the chance to go to their knit night, I recommend it. The vibe is very good. And sometimes they bring Oreos. When I was in college, I would go feral for that. When they busted out the Oreos, I was like foaming at the mouth a little bit. So love that for me and them. I love that for everybody, truly. Last up on day one, we ran over to the Tea Cozy, which is my current local yarn store. The Tea Cozy switched ownership last year, so I believe this was their first year with Emily as the owner. And I have loved all of the changes Emily has made to the Tea Cozy. I feel like Emily is really receptive to hearing what knitters want in the store. She really like seeks out input from the patrons of the store, which I think is super cool. So I was really happy they were on the tour this year, and their patterns were so cute. Oh my god. The fish pouch, the crocheted fish pouch, I need to make one immediately. And then it had a bonus, just like little fishies. I need to make like a little some sort of fish hanging thing to commemorate Fish Girl Summer Forever. But yeah, Tea Cozy was definitely one of the highlights for me. On day 2, which was my day with June, we had really grand ambitions for the day. We were like, we're gonna go to Bainbridge. We're gonna get like 15 stores. And that was delusional. So on day 2, we hit Hazel Knits, which was both of our first times at Hazel Knits. The store was beautiful. Then we went over to Seattle Yarns, which is June's former local yarn store. And I had never been there, so it was fun to go meet all of June's knitting friends and see the sample she made for the local yarn store tour pattern that Seattle Yarns did, which was really fun. And then we went over to B-Town Yarns in Bruin. I have lived in Washington my entire life. Like, I should know these places, but here we are. I'd never heard of this place in my life. And this was a new to me yarn store, and the owner of the store was so sweet. They had some really cool stuff that I've never seen before. I'll show you in the haul portion of events, but yeah, they had some stuff I was like, whoa, where did you get this Danish yarn? This is sick. I love Denmark. They had some really unique stuff that was super cool to see, and it's always fun to see a new yarn store. So after that, we went to Bakery Nouveau. Apparently there's a few locations of this bakery. It was so good. I got a croissant sandwich, a Diet Coke, and June and I split a cookie, and it was perfect. But then we both got sleepy, so that was a problem. But then we ran over to Issaquah. The new knittery was on the way to Issaquah. It was sandwiched in between a vape store and a foot massage place. And then there was the new knittery. So that was a little bit off-putting, I'm not gonna lie. I was just like, there's a lot happening in this scene. There's a lot going on here. It was definitely like a classic yarn store. It was pretty small, but their patterns were also really cute. They had this crocheted coaster situation where it's like a pot and then the coasters have flowers and you put them in and it makes a pot of flowers. So that was adorable, and they had a really cute little market bag pattern as well. And then we went to the Nifty Knitter in Issaquah, and this I think is one of my new favorite yarn stores. I had never been to this one either, and I was very impressed with it. The vibe was like very retro camper type. It was just cool, like it was different. And they had so many new brands that I've never heard of. They had a lot of Knitting for Olive, they had a lot of Cascade, they had a lot of needles, like a huge needle selection, which was so nice. I picked up a couple of copper needles to try because I had those recommended to me for my wrist pain. Yeah, I was very impressed with the Nifty Knitter, and I definitely will be going back. It was also in this really cute like set of stores that all had a similar, I don't know how to describe the area. We did in fact get lost in there 2 times. It's like a labyrinth of really cute little shops. Anyway, that was a good one. And then lastly, we went to the Knitters Studio in Bellevue, which was another sleeper hit. I was very impressed with the Knitters Studio. Again, the staff was incredibly nice and super fun to chat with. That's always a delight. This one is in like, it's Bellevue if you've ever been to Bellevue, so like everything is a giant building. So it was in a giant building with like a bunch of other offices and restaurants and stuff, but it was really easy to find. Parking was free, which is nice. It was a decently sized yarn store for sure. and they had, again, just so much stuff I had never seen before. They had this gorgeous Lang cashmere glitter, all sorts of new stuff, and then obviously you saw the yarn June and I fell in love with, which we will circle back later, which again, never heard of that brand before. So that was awesome. I love it when yarn stores have like a solid mix of stuff that's different from what every other yarn store is carrying. It's nice to see variety, you know? Okay, so my thoughts on the 2025 Puget Sound local yarn store tour. Let's get into it. I guess my main gripe is that it just felt like entirely too many stores. There were 25 stores in the tour this year, and some of them were as far away as Bellingham and Port Townsend, which, if you're unfamiliar, from Seattle, Bellingham is like almost 3 hours, Port Townsend's almost 3 hours, and a ferry ride. There was one on an island that you had to reserve a ferry from Port Townsend to make it to. Was it Woodby Island? It's one of the islands over there. These places are not easy to get to. They're really spread out, super far, and there's just so many of them. I feel like it would be more productive if we had a Seattle local yarn store tour and then like a greater Puget Sound local yarn store tour. You know, like break it into 2 separate events, because this was just too much. I'm sorry. June and I both have jobs. We like had to each take a day off to make this happen. We got to like 13 stores, 12 or 13 stores. We didn't even make it through half the stores, and we still had to like take a day off and like really push ourselves. We both got so tired, which I don't think either of us were expecting. We had a really big day planned, and then we got towards the end of the day and we were just like, if I enter another yarn store, I will pass out on the floor. So we had to stop. It was just too much, I think. And there are enough yarn stores in the central Seattle area and like just right around the outskirts of Seattle to make it their own tour. And then that opens up for more in the greater Puget Sound area as well. I don't know. I feel like it needs to be separated, because the Portland local yarn store tour that I mentioned earlier, that one's just Portland. There was one in Beaverton and one in Vancouver, which are both within like 20 minutes of downtown Portland. That felt much more doable and less exhausting and much easier to get around. I just feel like it's too much, and like kudos to everybody organizing this event, because that could not have been easy to juggle that many yarn stores. And like, I'm not ragging on the event coordinators. They clearly are doing this for a very good reason, to get people out to their local yarn stores. But I just, as a person who did the tour, I feel like it was just too much. So that's my main takeaway. My other little gripe, this is stupid, but so usually on these yarn tours, you get pins, like custom pins from each store. But this year they did stickers, and I'm just like, they're cute, don't get me wrong. Definitely cute little stickers. But I just like the pins more. I have decision paralysis with stickers. I'm always like, this is my one shot. Where am I gonna put this forever? But pins, I'm just like, bop them between tote bags, and I don't know. I like the pins better. That's a me thing, I think. The stickers are cute, but the pins feel more special, I guess. And it's fun to like have a dedicated tote bag like I did with Portland. Like I bought a tote bag to put my pins on. Another way to encourage people to spend their money at the yarn stores, in my opinion. I don't know, I'm no marketing expert. That's just how I feel. But yeah, overall, it was a lot of fun. I did have fun, don't get me wrong. It just was a lot more exhausting than I was anticipating. That also probably has to do with the work week I had was rather hectic, but it just felt like a lot more laborious than I thought it would, which I think is just due to like how far everything is apart, the amount of stores, and the fact that I was trying to film. So yeah, that's just my experience. Really good event though. Very kudos again to everybody involved in putting this on and making this happen, because it cannot be easy. So yeah, those are just a few thoughts I have, and now what we've all been waiting for. Let's get into the haul. So from Strika, I purchased, I think, 3 balls of the Rico Make It Tweed. So this was actually the yarn that Laura, who I met at the store, left a comment about, because I had bought, I think, 2 or 3 of these when I was in Denmark in September, and I mentioned that I had wished I picked up more because it's hard to find this specific color in America, and Laura let me know that they had it at Strika. So I was really hoping to pick up a couple of these, and I'm super glad I did. I have a few ideas for how I'm going to use this. I haven't landed on exactly what I'm going to use it for. A couple of ideas in my head. So one of them is to hold it with an unspun yarn for a Miles shirt jacket. Another option is to hold it with a kind of rustic wool for a Lakes pullover by Ozetta. So I'm kind of going back and forth between those 2 options right now. So I'm planning on on using this around fall-ish, fall-winter, to make something along those lines. So that was my first purchase. And then also from Streaky. This was a new to me brand. This is Ancient Yarns. And this is their Socknado base, which is 80% superwash, 20% nylon. And I just loved these colors together. I thought they were so beautiful. So my plan with this, wait for it, I also got this Sunday Fiber Co. Barefoot Organic Sock, which is 80% merino, 20% nylon, recycled nylon, in the color I Lilac You. So I got 2 of these to make, I'm debating like a Fleur tee by Brianna Mason, or some sort of little tank top for the summer, maybe a camisole number blank. Get me started. So I want to do something summery with these, and then whatever I have left over I'm going to use in a pair of socks with this as the main color and this as the contrast. Is that not super cute? I thought they were beautiful together. So purchased these from Strike, you know, have never purchased from either of these yarn brands, so I'm excited to be trying something new. And believe it or not, that is all I purchased on day 1. So I felt really good, arguably overconfident going into day 2. I forgot to remember that I was with my boyfriend, who was like actively encouraging me not to buy yarn, and I was about to be with June, who is in fact a yarn enabler. And that does go both ways. We do enable each other, and it is a problem. It's also very fun. My first purchase of day 2 was from B-Town Yarns. A lot of unique yarn that I've never seen before, and one of those was this Coast Yarn Merino. Really pretty orange. So this yarn is 100% organic merino, and this is a Danish yarn brand. So I was really excited about that, and this is in the color Courageous. Really beautiful orange. They had a matching mohair, but they didn't have enough to do anything with. They only had like 1 skein of that. So I have options here as well. I can wait and pick up the matching mohair and then maybe do another Maggie cardigan out of this. I don't know. I haven't even made my first Maggie cardigan, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. Or I could use it without the mohair and do some sort of tank top. Like, I don't know, the 7 p.m. tank has always been very appealing to me, or one of the camisole number blanks. Just, I'm thinking like good negative ease tops that I've seen is kind of like my thought with the merinos. It doesn't have a lot of drape and stuff, so I like orange a lot, clearly. So I was really excited to find a really beautiful, vibrant orange, and I'm very excited to knit this up into something this summer. All right, and then next up at the Nifty Knitter. I'm really excited about this one, oh my god. The Nifty Knitter has their own in-house brand called Meeker Street. Yes, Meeker Street. And I picked up 3 skeins of the jewelry box base in the color Citron. I picked up 3 of these, and it's not picking up really well, but this is like the most gorgeous sparkle I have ever seen in a yarn. I'm not a big sparkle yarn girly, believe it or not. I know that might be surprising to some of you because I seem like I should be, but I felt like this was just so well done and just such like a subtle sparkle, and it just pairs so beautifully with this base color. So after much deliberation, I'm talking like 30 plus minutes of deliberation with June in this yarn store, I decided that I would like to make a skirt out of this yarn. Some sort of skirt, like a mini skirt, I think probably would be cutesy with this. And I want to have it done by Flock so I can wear it at Flock. But I also think this would be really good for like a holiday skirt around like Christmas and New Year's and stuff. It will be more of a difficult to wear piece, like more of a, you know, occasion piece, I suppose. But I do think it will still get a decent amount of wear for being a little bit more out there. I think that's gonna be super, super cute. Oh, I love this. It's so pretty. The sparkle is like silver, which I feel like usually Stellina yarns are gold most of the time. So I was excited that this was silver. I'm a silver girly because it's cheaper. Silver jewelry, I mean. So yeah, I was very excited about this, and I still am. Okay, and then our last purchase was that yarn that June and I were obsessed with at the Knitter Studio. So that kind of like mixed texture yarn. We both picked up 4 skeins of this. It's so much easier to envision the vision with the swatch, but I love these colors together. June got a similar colorway, so hers is called Tea, and it's more like cantaloupe-y, honeydew melon type vibe, which I also really liked, but I felt like this one just looked a little bit better with my skin tone. Initially, our plan with this was that we were going to self-draft a kind of like loose sweater, like layering sweater, and then we were both really thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know if I have that in me to like do math. So we bought the blouse number 1 light, and I think the plan is, we haven't swatched or anything for this yet, but I think the plan is we're just gonna knit the blouse number 1 light extremely off gauge and just see what happens. Our gauge is probably gonna be way bigger with this because we want to knit it at kind of like an airy, open-ish gauge. So I'm thinking our gauge is gonna be pretty big, and then we both just size down a couple sizes. In theory, that should work. It makes sense in my brain, but my brain has been known to lead me astray. So if you are hearing me say this and you're like, no, don't, please tell me that I am insane and tell me what to do instead here, because again, in my brain, it does make sense. I'm like, okay, yeah, bigger gauge, we just make the smaller size, it'll work out. But I could see that going horribly wrong as well. So that could really go either way. Do let me know if you have thoughts or concerns about that. I'm very excited to work this up. This is a yarn from Universal Yarns, which I have never heard of. I got the colorway Bloom, and this is a 48% rayon from bamboo, 44% wool, and 8% acrylic blend. So a really unique blend. I was very intrigued by the rayon from bamboo and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to work this up, and of course I am always excited to be matchy-matchy with June. We love that for us. Overall, did I buy more yarn than I needed? Absolutely, of course. But I do feel like I have pretty solid ideas of what I want to do with all of this yarn. So I feel like I wasn't just buying yarn for the sake of buying yarn, which is good. I have done that before, as we know. So I feel good about like having somewhat of a plan, at least for every skein I purchased. And of course, like, what's the local yarn store tour? I was at so many new fun yarn stores, and like, it's more important than ever to be supporting your local yarn store if you are able to. So I wanted to support at least a little bit, so I'm glad I did that. And yeah, I think that about wraps up everything for this video. Yeah, I will see you guys next time for a fun little celebratory 6,000 subscriber Q&A. I asked you guys to ask me some questions on Instagram and here, and so I'm gonna be compiling those and doing a fun little Q&A. I think that's gonna be a good time. And I'm nosy. Let me know what you're working on. Let me know if I went to any of your favorite yarn stores or any good stuff like that. I love a good chit chat in the comments, as we know. You guys take care. I'm really trying to make the outros less awkward, but peace out, Girl Scout. I don't know. Sorry.